All right, what's up? My name's Chris, and I've been meaning to do this video for a little bit to help my students with chords, kind of wrapping our head around chords and getting into some practice. So here I am. So we're going to start at the very beginning, kind of beginner level, and then we'll move up a little bit. I've been working on teaching this stuff for a while and still getting better, hopefully. That's the goal. So we'll just jump in here. So we're going to start with the white keys. The reason is because those represent one key of music. And what that means, turn the amp on here. One key of music, or when a song's in a certain key, that means we're playing some notes, like all the white keys, and we're excluding other notes, right? We're excluding the black keys in this case. So the key of C is unique in that it's the only key with no black keys. So we just have C through C. If you count all the notes in music, we have 12, right? Not including the C again. So we could play in 12 different keys at least. Then there's minor keys and major keys and stuff. We're gonna start just with C major, which is just these 7 notes. And it starts over again, okay? So when you build chords, the basic idea is that we're building what we call thirds. So we're skipping, right? So C to D is 1 to 2, C to E is 1 to 3. So when you make chords, you always use your thumb. We want to use our thumb on the chord. It kind of gives us a reference point and a frame, and our thumb can bend. We can move our thumb away and play big chords or little chords. So we want to use our thumb, and that's our first chord, our 1 chord. And we're in the key of C here, and we're going to start using numbers a lot with chords in music in general. So you want to make sure that you're thinking in terms of this is the 1 chord because we're on the 1 note. This would be the 2 chord, right? I can move these around, and I'm just using 1, 3, and 5. Right, so that's a good amount of practice right there, right? If you're a beginner, take your hand off the piano, put it back on. You can try this without looking. It's amazing the muscle memory you can get, right? And try it with both hands. I missed one, right? But it's pretty close, right? That's good. We want to really promote muscle memory. So that's the first thing to work on, right? And then you can play chords. You can move your thumb and play all these different chords, right? And they're also numbered. So this is the 1 chord. This is the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1, okay? And a chord, like the C chord, is the C chord no matter what order it's in. So if I put in another order, if I move the C up an octave here, and I still do those, now I have another order, right? And now I might use 1, 2, and 5. So 1 on the E, 2 on the G, and 5, because of the way our hand wants to bend. And finally, there's one more order where you take the E and you move it up, right? And this is the third kind of chord. We call these inversions. So they're good to know, right? That can be just a great practice right there, just grabbing all these, listening to them. They'll sound real similar, right? Messed that one up. So eventually that can be a feel thing. It's amazing how much your fingers can kind of learn. So we really want to promote that music's all about that, and playing smoothly. And you don't have to like look down, you can stay, kind of present. So, okay, so that's the first level. So now we often play harmony in songs, and the vast majority of popular music is often based on patterns. It's not just random notes and chords together. So even though these 7 chords, there's not so much the 7 chord. The 7 sounds kind of weird, right? It's a little crunchy, kind of dissonant, right? But all the other chords, 1 through 6, most songs are made of those chords, right? So you can play a lot of songs by just moving around, and what we'll start to do in the left hand is add a bass note like this. So just 1 note, and I can play real simple music by just moving my hand around, right? Like that, just kind of moving. So that's really good to practice, and if you want to practice your left hand, you can put your pinky on C, and you kind of keep your left hand put where you can really feel. I can feel the different notes. I can, say, okay, I want to play the 1 in the left hand, the 1 note, not with my 5, 1, and I could go to 5 with my thumb. I could do the 4 in the middle. I could do the 6 even. I could move my thumb up and play 6, right? I'd also put my thumb on the left hand on C. And then I could go down for some of these notes. So I could hit a 6 with my middle finger, a 5 with my ring finger, and a 4 with my pinky, right? So we're just trying to get flexible and thinking, like really letting our muscles and our body help us find the notes, right? So less looking is best, or no looking. Okay, so now going on. Most music is based on these patterns of like the 1 chord in the song a lot, not always, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So 1, 4, and 5. These are 3 numbers, they're the title of the video, and so many songs are based off this harmony. So the easiest way to play it though is not like this, where we pick our whole hand up and go to the 4 and then go to the 5. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn inversions of those other 2 chords. So these chords, the 1 here, I'm just gonna do my right hand for a sec. The top 2 notes of this chord, we can just move them up in the key, right? And remember the key of C is just white keys, right? So if I just move these up 1 note in the key, and up is, depending on which way you're looking, up's to your right if you're looking at the piano, right? Higher tones up here, and then lower down there. So we're gonna move these top 2 notes up 1, like that, all right? So I'm just going like this with my hand and just opening that up. So I'm using the same 3 and 5 to play the other 2. You could use the other finger too. I think the C should be your thumb on both accounts. All right, and that's a huge thing to practice right there as a movement. 1 chord, and this is the 4 chord, F. I'm just moving the C down. Right, so just practicing that movement, right? Let's try it, in fact, we could do this in time. Let's try every 4 beats, okay? So it'd be like 1, 2, start on C. 1, just practice movement. If you get this down, 3, 4, we could add the left hand. I'm playing C on my left hand on the thumb. Now I've got a really full, nice sound. If you get this down, you can start playing more beats in your right hand if you want to feel the beat more. Right, and very quickly it sounds like music, right? So, okay, that's the idea, right? Playing in time is great. Playing in time is like a way to structure all this. And it gives us metric on getting better. If you can do that at 80 BPM, try it at 90. Can try it at 95. Can you do half notes? 1, 2, 1. Can we go to quarter notes? Right, without looking, is really ideal. Okay, so that's the first movement. The next movement is the opposite movement. So the 5 chord, if I go up here and I look at these 3 notes, G, B, D, we call this the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. We're gonna move these guys, the B and the D, down an octave. And look at that, we have a shape right next to our C chord. And what's happening is the bottom 2 notes are moving down in the key, right? Kind of cool, right? So 1 going down. Here the fingering I like to do, I'm trying to show you, like 1 chord and then I do, or what's the easiest way? 1, 3, 5, and then 1, 2, 5. 1, 2, 5 on the fingering. So that's usually easiest. 1, 3, 5 is kind of a little bit of a stretch for 3 and 5 because our thumb can stretch it most, so we're trying to use that. Okay, so let's do that movement a little bit. Okay, so your pinky should be stand put. So it should be like 1, let's go with 4 beats. Back to C. And again, we can add the left hand. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Right. Now, of course, getting all 3 of those movements together, or 2 of those, really just 2, right? This is our home base. We're moving up for the 4, and then we can go back to the 1, and then go to the 5. So going from the 4 to the 5 is kind of tricky, right? So I wouldn't do that at first, but I would practice going from 1, 3, 4, 4. Let's say we go back to the 1, 3, 4, 5. Just get this down, right? Just go as slow as you need to. It is very good though, from the outset, to practice in time. So I would put a metronome on or something if you need a drum beat. YouTube, there's lots of options, right? So that's the first thing you want to work on, okay? Okay, so one more thing I want to add on to this is that one other chord happens a lot in popular music, and it's the 6th chord. So if we count up, A minor, right? And also you can go down, right, in the key of C. You can find it like that. So that chord, you know, this whole thing is trying to keep our hand in one spot so I can play songs, right? And I don't have to like look down and figure out where I'm at. And plus, the benefit to this is that we can remember what key we're in, right? And that's a big part of music to me, is like knowing that, the sense of like, I know my role in the story, right? Or I understand the story, right? When you hear a song, it's really easy to kind of just hear a bunch of chords and content and not understand what you're playing, or how to transpose it, or how to simplify it, make it harder. All that stuff you have to kind of understand at a deeper level. So the other chord, the 6th chord, instead of moving our hand, why don't we do this? We're gonna actually play, you see this chord's almost a C chord, right? We have two of the same notes. And when we want to make harmony a little deeper, what we can do is add a 4th note like this. So this is called a 7 chord. 1, 3, 5, 7, right? So if I just take off the A now and give it to my left hand, I can play the 1 chord on the 1 and the 6th chord. So this is a 6th chord, A minor, and I don't even have to move the 1, right? So let's say I have a progression that was like 1 and 6, right? So it would be 1, 6, and this is where the left hand kind of has to make the distinction, right? This just sounds like 1. So the bass part in music is really important. 2, 3, 4, and this is crazy. You can play this a few times. And 6, 1. I could go to 4. Try that. 4. Back to 1. 5. 6. Right, just getting some practice, right? Moving around. Okay, and in fact, let's do that for a few more seconds. Let's try, let's just try some movements here, okay? So I'll call them out. So let's do 4 beats at first, okay? So 1, 2, 1 chord first, and let's try the 4. Cut to the 1, the 6 now, and how about the 5? How about back to 1? Now let's go to 2 beat chords. 4 chord, 4, and 1 chord, 4 chord again, 1 chord again, 5, 1, 5, 6. Kind of hard, right? So the idea here is you want to work this stuff out in time, right? Just put on a metronome, nice and slow, and just get these movements down. Really let your body get them down. Don't worry about your head so much. Their head is babysitting your body, but you really want to get that down, okay? So, okay, and I wouldn't move on until you get that, okay? So we'll do a little bit more today, and we'll actually probably keep in the key of C. You know, in the other keys, we have to kind of filter the piano, for instance, key of G. We'll get into this, but here's a little preview. It's no F, right? We need 1 to 7 in a scale has to be a half step. So that's why we introduce black keys in some of these scales. So every other scale besides C has black keys, and they're all unique, right? So G has 1 black key. That note, right? So there's no F and there's F sharp, right? So that means that when I do that movement, like I can go, you know, here's a 1 chord with my thumb on G now, where G's 1, G's the main character. I can go up and do that. Great. Then I go back down, and then here I gotta kind of be mindful. I can't play this because that's not my key. So it's essentially like the white key's not even there. I have to go here, right? And I have to like filter that and get that out of my, you know, kind of just avoid it, right? Learn how to kind of see the F sharp there as the normal thing. So we could do chords just like we didn't see though. So this is the beauty of this method. And if you're saying numbers when you do them, like 1, 4, 1, 5, right, 6. So we'll get into this more and we can try this in this key. That's another video though. But that's the method. It will scale up infinitely, especially when you pay attention to the whole steps and half steps, right? If you see, oh yeah, 3 to 4 is a half step. All right, 3 to 4 is a half step in every key. So let's try one more preview of another key. Let's try this, F, right? Thumb on F, so now F is 1. And if I'm going to my 4 chord, if I do this, sounds weird, right? Sounds a little funky. That's because the B is incorrect in this key. A is the third note, right? So 3 to 4 is a half step. So I need to like flatten that B to go to B flat, so that way I have the right sound, right? If I want to go, do we know this song? Dun, 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 dun. Right? So that song has a B flat, right? Or that key has a B flat. If I went, playing it wrong, but right, it sounds weird, right? I need, and not this, right? That B flat's the normal thing. So that's the idea. So those half steps happen between 1 and 7. 1 goes down to 7 half step, and 3 and 4. 3 goes up to 4 and a half step, or 4 goes down to 3. Okay, so those are the moments we'll need to like kind of study some, right? But one more thing with C is that we can do, so you want to get these on speed dial basically, just moving around, right? Where we can play any combination of these. And I really like on the left hand doing your thumb with C. That way we can play C, A, G, F. So we can play all the notes right there and I don't have to look, right? That's really the enemy here, is looking, right? And the fact also that we have a pivot, we can feel the 4 chord, and I can feel the 5 chord, right? That makes a huge difference when you're playing real quick music and you have to go like, right? I just gotta feel those. It's just gotta be right, ready to go. There's no time for moving around. Down the road, we can totally go. You can move around, right, and play different inversions and pick your hand up. But that's for another time when you're more familiar. So, okay, one final thing is if you want a kind of more modern sound with this, which I totally understand, what you can do, it's kind of a crazy thing in music, is you could even like play this C chord like we did it here on the A minor. You can play this for every chord. Sounds kind of weird sometimes, but it's kind of cool. Right? So lots of options there, but what's even more usable is this 1-5, only 1-5. So there, that goes with all these chords. So we can do this one, we can do this one, right? We can kind of like treat this as a chord that goes with everything. It works because it's from the 1 chord, right? So it kind of ties our sound together. So that's a really nice way to play. You could play Don't Stop Believin' or something. Right, sounds pretty good. And that's essentially what they're doing in that song, in another key. So that's a kind of an easy way to add on to this. And then finally, also, you could do just moving the middle, right? So if you move the middle, you could do, let me see, 6. Here, let's do 1, 4, 1, 5. So if I move the middle only, 1, 4, 1, and then 5. So you see that kind of idea there? I'm just moving just the middle. So that's really cool too. We're actually kind of playing kind of complicated chords sometimes that I don't even want to get into. We call them sus chords, like if you move this chord, if you move the C up here, you can kind of see this shape. So we call this a sus2. This is for another day, but the 3 in the chord, then goes down to 2, right? Kind of a cool sound. I use these a lot, right? You can use both chords, or both kinds of chords. So down here, when you play this, just move the middle, you're kind of getting this more advanced kind of sound, right? That's really nice. It's a little bit more subtle. I could go, let's try 1 to 4 like that, or 1, 4, 1, 5. So ready, 1, 4, 1, 5. There's that other one. 1, 4, 1, then you can even do both, right? You can do the kind of only middle moving, and then you can do the full thing. So that's really pretty. That's a nice way to get some extra chords, right? So yeah, hopefully this is helpful. So the point of this video might be for this first kind of level, just get this down without looking, right? You cannot look. This is something I'm really learning a lot in lessons to promote this. Just the power of this, the power of getting your fingers to play the right notes, to go to some spots automatically, right? And then playing in time is another big thing. So if you just if you don't know what to practice or you don't know songs to play 1-4-1-5, right? Play 1-4, how about, or 1-5, or 1-4-6-5, right? And play it in time. So 1, 3, and 4, just without looking, try to really get the feel down, right? Right, so that's a really good thing to work on. Down the road, we'll do another key. You could, work on feel. Put the pedal on. Play some. You can divide it out like this, right? So it kind of depends on what you physically can kind of feel. But when you don't have to look at your hand and don't have to think about what chord you're playing, that makes it a lot easier, right? I'll say one more thing, like learning songs is the best way to kind of apply this, right? Because music's definitely a language, or has linguistic elements, and learning songs is like speaking the language. So you can do Happy Birthday, that's 1 and 5. Let's see, 1-5, 5-1, 1-4, 1-5-1. So let's try that real quick. 1-5. So 1, ready, 2 and 5, 5-1, 5 back, 2, 1, and then 1-4, 1 and 4, and then 1-5-1. Happy 1-5, right? So songs like "Let It Be" by the Beatles. There's a lot of songs in C major, so I would look up songs in C major on Google. You'll find probably some wrong answers and a fair amount of right ones. And they don't, when you learn a song, it doesn't say what key it's in often. Sometimes it does, but you have to kind of gain some understanding here by looking at the music and saying, like, oh yeah, C and F and G. That looks like key of C to me, right? And then you can kind of have this intuition of how to work on it on piano, right? And when you do this, I would really say the number. So say 1, and let's go to 4, 4. Let's go to 6, 6, and 5. How about 4? This is a little hard, right? And then 1. What if we make it easier to play both hands? You could just do 1 and 5 in left and right hand, like we did earlier, and then just put in just the bass note and play some songs. A little bit more empty, kind of simple, but super helpful as well. Because this just kind of works on getting our hands playing together, right? You could go. Just kind of play some bass notes, right? Our 1, our 4, 5, and 6 are our main sounds we use, again. I'll have another video too on getting into the 2 and the 3 chord, which we can use like that. We can use the 4 on the 2 and the 5 on the 3. So that's another day. But then we can play lots of extra songs, right? You can really fill out the key. So you can play lots of tunes with these, what we call diatonic chords, right? All the chords that go together. And then eventually in the key of G, we can do the same thing. And look, it looks the same. Even if you're brand new to this, I'm hoping you can see the similarity. Oh, there's that F sharp, right? Right, there's a lot of stuff you can do here. How about key of D? And we have an F sharp now baked in. We'll talk about this more. Right, there's the C sharp. Should say C sharp. Here's our 6th chord. So anyways, that's the idea, right? So it's kind of loud here, so I want to let you go. But yeah, we'll pick it up next time. Thanks.